Episode 5. C1 Level. Hey there, language lovers, and welcome back to another episode of Daily 5 Words. I'm so glad you're here. As you know, our goal is to help you expand your vocabulary in a fun, easy way. We'll start each episode with a short, animated story that uses our 5 words for the day. After the story, we'll dive deep into each word so you can understand it and use it like a pro. Today's words are 1. Spontaneous, 2. Inevitable, 3. Ambiguous, 4. Imply, 5. Reluctant. Now, are you ready to get started? Let's jump into our story. Before we do, if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And I always love to hear from you, so leave a comment below and let me know which word you like the most. Tom was sitting at his desk late in the evening when a new email from his boss appeared. The subject line was ambiguous, just the words about your future. Curious but nervous, he clicked it open. The message was short and seemed to imply that his position at the company might not last much longer. Tom read it 3 times, hoping he was wrong, but the vague wording only made him more anxious. He felt reluctant to ask his boss directly because he didn't want to hear confirmation of his fears. Instead, he told himself he would wait until Monday's meeting to find out the truth. To escape the stress, Tom made a spontaneous decision. He called his cousin, who lived 2 hours away, and asked if he could visit for the weekend. Of course, come over, his cousin said warmly. The sudden plan brought him a bit of relief. He packed a bag and left that same evening. On the train, Tom sat by the window as the landscape rolled past. He watched a lush meadow with dense trees stretching endlessly into the distance. The quiet scenery felt peaceful, yet his reflection in the glass revealed a mix of worry and hope. Even surrounded by calm, his thoughts kept returning to the email and the uncertain, almost ambiguous, future it suggested. When he arrived, his cousin greeted him with a hug and pulled him inside. The house was warm and full of laughter. They spent the next day enjoying good food, walking through the woods, and sharing old stories. The countryside made everything feel slower and lighter, and for the first time in weeks, Tom laughed without feeling reluctant. His cousin's cheerful spirit seemed to imply that life had more to offer than just work worries. But on Sunday evening, as Tom sat on the train heading back home, the silence returned. He looked out the window at the same fields and trees, now glowing orange in the sunset. He knew it was inevitable that Monday would come. No matter how many distractions or spontaneous escapes he created, reality would still be waiting. Now, let's talk about today's 5 important words. 1. Spontaneous. Part of speech, adjective. Meaning. Spontaneous describes something that happens naturally, without planning or outside control. It comes directly from emotions, energy, or inner impulse rather than careful thought. A spontaneous action often feels fresh, genuine, and free. People who are spontaneous usually act quickly and follow their feelings instead of making detailed plans. Events can also be called spontaneous if they occur suddenly and without warning. Example sentences. She gave a spontaneous speech that impressed everyone. Their trip to the mountains was spontaneous, they decided only that morning. The child's spontaneous hug showed her real feelings. Synonyms. Impulsive, instinctive, unplanned, natural. Word family. Spontaneity, noun. The quality of being natural and unplanned. Example, I admire the spontaneity of her decisions. Spontaneously, adverb. Happening in a natural or sudden way. Example, the children spontaneously started singing. Common uses and phrases. Spontaneous decision. A choice made quickly, without planning. Example, she made a spontaneous decision to travel abroad. Spontaneous laughter. Sudden, natural laughter that comes without thinking. Example, the audience burst into spontaneous laughter. Spontaneous reaction. an immediate and honest response to a situation. Example, his spontaneous reaction showed how honest he was. Other information for learners. Spontaneous is often used in a positive way, suggesting honesty, joy, or liveliness. But in some cases, it can also mean carelessness or lack of planning, which may cause mistakes. 2. Inevitable. Part of speech, adjective. Meaning. Inevitable means something is certain to happen and cannot be avoided or stopped. It often refers to events, results, or consequences that are bound to occur no matter what actions are taken. Using this word suggests that the outcome is unavoidable and part of the natural flow of events. Example sentences. It was inevitable that the two rivals would meet in the final match. With such dark clouds, rain seemed inevitable. Change is inevitable as technology keeps developing. Synonyms. Unavoidable, certain, destined, inescapable. Word family. Inevitably, adverb. Used to say something is sure to happen. Example, inevitably, they ran into traffic during rush hour. Inevitability, noun. The state of being unavoidable. Example, the inevitability of change makes life interesting. Common uses and phrases. Inevitable result. A result that cannot be prevented. Example, with so many mistakes, failure was the inevitable result. Inevitable conflict. A disagreement or clash that is bound to happen. Example, with such different opinions, an inevitable conflict arose. Inevitable consequence. A natural effect or outcome of an action. Example, eating too much sugar has the inevitable consequence of health problems. Other information for learners. Inevitable is usually used in serious situations, death, change, problems, results. It's often paired with words like result, consequence, conflict, or outcome. Remember, it doesn't mean likely but certain. Opposite words. The opposite is avoidable or preventable. Example, the accident was avoidable if he had been more careful. Cultural use. In English, people sometimes say the inevitable as a noun, often to refer to death or something unavoidable. Example, everyone must face the inevitable one day. Evitable is actually a word, though it is very rarely used. Evitable means something that can be avoided or prevented. It is the opposite of inevitable, which means something that cannot be avoided. For example, the accident was evitable if the driver had been paying attention. In modern English, people almost always use inevitable, and evitable is mostly found in formal or older texts. 3. Ambiguous. Part of speech, adjective. Meaning. Ambiguous means something is unclear or can be understood in more than one way. It often describes language, messages, or situations that have more than one possible meaning, making them confusing or open to interpretation. It can also describe someone's feelings or actions that are not definite. Example sentences. His answer was so ambiguous that nobody knew what he really meant. The map was ambiguous, and the travelers took the wrong road. She gave me an ambiguous smile that I couldn't quite understand. Synonyms. Unclear, vague, uncertain, doubtful, equivocal. Word family. Ambiguity, noun. The state of being unclear. Example, there is some ambiguity in the contract. Ambiguously, adverb. In an unclear or doubtful way. Example, he spoke ambiguously about his plans. Common uses and phrases. Ambiguous statement. A sentence that can mean different things. Example, his ambiguous statement confused the whole class. Ambiguous situation. A situation that is not clear or has more than one possible meaning. Example, they were stuck in an ambiguous situation with no clear solution. Ambiguous feelings. Mixed or uncertain emotions. Example, she had ambiguous feelings about moving to another country. Idiomatic expressions. Leave something ambiguous. To keep something unclear on purpose. Example, the politician left his answer ambiguous to avoid problems. Other information for learners. Ambiguous is often used in formal or academic English, contracts, politics, literature. In everyday English, people sometimes say not clear, uncertain, or could mean two things instead of ambiguous. Be careful not to confuse it with ambitious, which means having strong desire to succeed. Many learners mix them up because they look similar. 4. Imply. Part of speech, verb. Meaning. Imply means to suggest something without saying it directly. When someone implies something, they give a hint or clue, but they do not state it in clear words. The listener or reader has to understand the hidden meaning from the way it was said. Example sentences. She didn't say I was wrong, but her tone seemed to imply it. The teacher implied that there might be a surprise test tomorrow. By smiling, he implied that he agreed with the plan. Synonyms. Suggest. Hint. Indicate. Insinuate. Allude. Word family. Implication, noun. The hidden meaning or result of something. Example, the implication of his words was that we needed to hurry. Implied, adjective and verb form. Not stated directly but understood. Example, his implied message was clear to everyone. Common uses and phrases. Imply criticism, to suggest someone is wrong without saying it clearly. Example, his words seem to imply criticism of her work. Imply consent. To suggest that someone agreed without direct words. Example, his silence implied consent to the decision. Imply meaning. To suggest an idea without saying it openly. Example, the author used symbolism to imply meaning in the story. Idiomatic expressions. What are you implying? A common phrase when someone feels another person is hinting at something negative. Example, are you saying I lied? What are you implying? Other information for learners. Imply and infer are often confused. The speaker or writer implies, and the listener or reader infers. For example, the teacher implied there would be a quiz. The students inferred that they should study. In spoken English, imply is more formal. In everyday conversations, people often say suggest or hint. 5. Reluctant. Part of speech, adjective. Meaning. Reluctant means feeling unwilling or hesitant to do something. When someone is reluctant, they do not want to do a task, action, or decision, often because they are unsure, afraid, or do not like it. Example sentences. She was reluctant to speak in front of the large audience. He felt reluctant to accept the job offer because it required moving to another city. They were reluctant to leave the party early, even though they were tired. Synonyms. Hesitant. Unwilling. Disinclined. Resistant. Averse. Word family. Reluctance, noun. The feeling of being unwilling or hesitant. Example, her reluctance to participate was obvious. Reluctantly, adverb. Doing something with hesitation or unwillingness. Example, he reluctantly agreed to help his friend. Common uses and phrases. Reluctant to agree, not willing to accept something. Example, she was reluctant to agree to the plan at first. Reluctant participant. Someone who joins an activity unwillingly. Example, he was a reluctant participant in the team building exercises. Reluctant decision. A choice made with hesitation or doubt. Example, it was a reluctant decision, but they had no other option. Idiomatic expressions. Reluctant hero. A person who does something brave or important even though they do not want to. Example, he became a reluctant hero after saving the child from the fire. Other information for learners. Reluctant is often followed by to plus verb. For example, she is reluctant to leave. In informal speech, people may use not really want to instead of reluctant for simpler English. We've reached the end of today's lesson. I hope you feel more confident with these 5 new words. Remember, repetition is key. You can download the audio and PDF files for this episode from the link in the description. Try listening to the audio file whenever you have a free moment during the day, it's the best way to make these words stick. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next time.